Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good, Lisa, my love.
I promise.
Have it on. Hello.
Oh, oh.
No, I need someone to come Commissioner. Do you need to go, do you need me to go again?
After this.
All right, call this meeting to order.
Can we,
I can't see.
Madam Chair? Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, you can hear me?
We had a discussion about that in communications. Speaking into the mic so that everybody listening out in
Oh,
TV land can hear us.
all right, the first item on the agenda is the minutes for February 2nd. Nobody else is here to know whether they saw them or had any. So the next item on the agenda is the resolution to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with L.E. Barber for the Pawpaw resurfacing project. City manager or Mr. Little, who is taking this item?
Yes, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
we are getting ready to get the rest of Paw done from Main Street back down, back up to the river.
Didn't we approve that? City meeting?
I think about Wakanda.
The
All
contract,
fall to walk on the,
You approved the,
Yeah, we
you approved the grant.
Manager, did you have any other comments on this particular item?
do you have anything else?
I can give a 2-second update. I'm Tim Drews with Avon Marsh. So we opened bids on March 15th for this project. We had 2 bids. L.E. Barber was the low bid at $595,757.75. Northern Construction Services was just a little bit over at $614. So we checked all the references, we checked all of their paperwork, everything's in order. Part of the procedure is we have to send the bid tabulation to MDOT for review and make sure that it's okay. They've reviewed it. They've given us a notice to proceed as long as the city commission agrees to grant the award for the construction. So this is basically just awarding the contract to L.E. Barber, and he's getting ready to get going if the city commission's so willing to.
So as soon as it goes, because it'll go before the full body next week.
April 3rd, right?
April 3rd, so when is the proposed start date? Anytime thereafter or?
Anytime thereafter, what we need to do is have a pre-construction meeting with him, and then he'll get mobilized. And my gut tells me before April 15th, he'll be out there and wanting to get started on that. So.
not a problem. Commissioner Mary Alice Adams. Has the question been asked? Well, I guess first we should ask for, if in fact this is a federal grant.
It's a state grant.
It's a state grant? Okay, so it's not under section?
No.
Okay, section 3, okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions that anybody has for this item?
I just got a quick question, because I remember we approved the grant, but I don't remember the amount. What was the amount of the grant?
$346,435.
Okay, so we approved the grant, now we just approving that the work be done?
Now you've gotten actual costs, so you're approving that the work can get done.
All right, thank you.
Is there any other questions on this item? All right, hearing none. I guess since I'm the only one, this will be moved to the full body. Thank you, Kat. All right, next item is the MDOT performance resolution for municipalities. City manager.
You ready?
I'll take this one too. So anytime the city applies for a permit from MDOT, in the instance that this is coming up is we applied for a permit to put temporary construction signs on the business loop for the Paw Paw Avenue project. So anytime we submit a permit, goes through the MDOT process, they have a new process where they're actually wanting the city to approve this resolution. It's basically a standard form resolution. All it's doing is saying that the city's going to hold them harmless. They're going to hire a qualified contractor. They're going to be responsible for restoration of the work that they perform. So it's a new process, but once you approve this once, it's good for until somebody cancels it, and then there's a 30-day notice to cancel it. So it's good in perpetuity after this point, but it's a formality that we need to go through to get basically MDOT permits approved anymore.
Are there any questions about this?
Is this L.A. Barber's, someone from, Evan Marsh?
I'm Tim Jerusalem, Adam Marsh.
Evan Marsh,
Yeah.
okay.
I have a question. Tim, so you have to do this every time you apply for a permit? Because we did this in September of
For
last
some reason, they didn't have it on file or they
Okay.
didn't, so they sent it to us just, a week and a half ago here and said, you need to fill this out.
Okay.
I thought this looked familiar,
Yeah.
honestly.
So I did too when you sent it to me.
Yeah,
So they don't have that on file, but the resolution has already been approved
Yeah.
for this item.
Yeah.
So she just can't send that resolution.
so if you send that to me, I'll send that to them, and
And then we don't even have to worry about this one.
I would hope if it's the same,
It's
resolution.
yeah, it's the exact same one.
Okay, then get it to me, we'll get it to them.
Okay.
We'll put this one to bed.
Okay.
So we won't keep asking this question because I didn't know if he was a gentleman from Evan Marsh or L.A. Barber. But since he's from Evan Marsh, he's aware of the Section 3 program.
I am.
And okay, so that's wonderful. Can we get an update? I heard, I missed the meeting, but I went back and listened to it, and I think it was last month or the month before. I think it was last month. And I think it was somebody else from Evan Marsh that gave an update on the funds that were spent for the lead pipe
How much of it?
project. If we can, I want further discussion on that matter as to if we are holding any funds, and if so, how much is there a percentage that we're holding until everything is satisfied? Can we get an update on
Just
it
an
or just?
update on the project?
yeah, yeah.
City manager?
Making a note.
Thank you.
Mr. Little, are you giving an update on Project T?
Yes, I am. I won't go into all of the detail, but I will mention that we're going through a change on that, and we'll be coming back to you with some additional information. As you will recall, Project T initially we discussed 2 3-story buildings, one that was referred to as a LIHTC building, a low-income building that would be funded with tax credits through MSHDA, and the other a mixed-use building that would be privately funded. The submission that was made to MSHDA for the low-income building was denied. We did not get that. That then began to change the project. We're looking at continuing with the mixed-use building that was initially planned in it, but then they wanted to substitute some 38 duplexes as missing middle housing. But we're in discussions back and forth because that really substantially changes the project. And I want, as I've expressed to them, this is an important project for the city. It's the largest singular tract of land the city owns that's vacant. And I want to make sure that what we get on this is substantial in the way of addressing our housing needs, increasing our population and building a tax base. And I'm saying to them that I'm not really looking to just accept a considerably reduced project. So we have some discussions going back and forth on that. I wanted to just make you aware of. As a matter of fact, in the last hour, we had some additional discussions that kind of put things back for getting on track. Good afternoon. So as a consequence, that's kind of the status right now on that. We're going to be setting up some regular meetings to see if we can work out what is the best that we can put together for this project to bring back to you for discussion and review.
So will funding still remain, the same as that changed, how it's funded, if it changes?
It's changed considerably with the absence of that low income funding that was come through the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. And that's where the issue is right now, is how much, what can we do to replace what would have been there and so forth, so that we get a significant enough investment on that property.
Why did they deny it, did they say?
They apparently misused a formula that was applied around the state on the projects that were submitted, that included things like walkability to the existing services and a number of these kind of things. And we didn't rank high enough in their scale on that. So we're gonna explore that a little further, as well as what other kinds of possibilities that we can pursue to try to build that project back up.
So at this point, if that doesn't happen, then,
Depending on where that goes, we could be back to the drawing board, or we could find something that works out that you might find acceptable.
the LIHTC piece was denied through the
Which one,
Project
Jamal?
T, the LIHTC.
Project
Yeah, I
T.
mean, was it denied because of the mental health portion?
No, this was, that was the other project, and we got it back on track.
Oh, you're talking about Project T?
Project T.
Yeah, we're talking about Project T.
Oh, pipes, oh,
Yes.
pipes,
Old Mercy Center, yes.
it was denied, yeah.
So we're gonna go back and explore some additional options and have some more discussions and see what we can do to try and rehabilitate.
So with the duplexes, they couldn't apply some of those same formulas that, what is it, 30, 60, 30, 40, 60?
They get some different guidelines on that, and the feeling is that we'll have a real good chance of being able to get that. But that by itself, just to me, isn't sufficient. We want to see what else we can get done.
Because it's still the 10 homes that still plan to go.
Either 8 or 10 single-family homes, and now,
Can we guarantee that though?
again,
Can we guarantee the 10 homes being
well, that's whether it's 8 or 10, well, that's what we're sort of renegotiating with them now. So we can come up with.
Also, even those were gonna be, even that was gonna be changed in that project, the 10.
No, they had one drawing there for proposed 10,
Mhm.
another they had proposed 8. The single-family homes were staying in there regardless. But the issue now is how we make up what was lost, where the 50 units were supposed to be in that 3-story low-income building.
I just really believe in my heart that it's a lot of other hands working. The electric company put those big old poles, a lot of different things up in that area. And, I think it just behooves us to continue in a way that we can, as the mayor put the monopoly board out there, that we God ain't building no more property. So we need to do something out there to build some type of neighborhood because everything else is being built. I would suggest that because of what Mr., if I'm correct or not, or with Hood, they put out finances for multifamily units.
Mhm.
So how can we somehow utilize that property and also have them do what they're supposed to do, and then also utilize the Hood funding to build around that area?
Yeah.
So you can have single family, whether duplexes or quads or whatever is what they want, utilize that money that's coming down from the federal government to build around what they're trying to do in that area. I think that honestly, if we can get them to commit to building, whether on the straight or U, then I think we need to get them to commit to building 8 or whatever homes they will commit to. Then utilize the Hood resources to build.
What HUD resources are you referring to?
Well, the money that's coming down from HUD to build multifamily homes, they're not building single family. I thought that was the announcement that we had a couple months back, that HUD said they didn't want to build single family because it was not cost effective for them to do that. That they want to build more multifamily units.
And that's what we're gonna be following up on, trying to find out. See, realistically though, I do need to make you aware, the landscape financially has changed in the last couple of months. The same thing that was affecting that bank out there in California is affecting everything in the real estate market. We had probably 15 years of 2% loan rate market. Now we're over above 5 and climbing. And that's changed the equity requirements and everything else on that. So basically what we really have to do at this point is just kind of slow down, go back to drawing board, put our heads together with them and with the state and figure out what's doable. And that's what we're trying to do.
I have a question, so they're saying that the walkability piece with the Ox Creek project that's right over there, you couldn't utilize that drawing or those things to actually say, yeah, there is things that's,
And we pointed out all of that, but they look at that as that's a plan, it's not there yet. So.
We just got funding for that.
right, so there's still a plan, it's like the project itself is a plan.
Well, we'll continue working with them. We'll be talking with the state, with the feds and everybody involved to try to get the best that we can for the city.
Commissioner, I'm sorry.
I'm good.
You said Mr. turned down for the low income. So I still want to see the low income there. Are you working on anything else to try to get low income payment
We're
too?
revisiting that to see if there's any way to do that.
Well, to me, the low income is a must. I mean, it's because they missed it in funding and they might not want it. I mean, revisiting, let's make sure we get some low income in there. Because that's for the residents. So
We'll do our best. We'll do our best.
when we vote on it, so.
Commissioner Adams, you all right?
I'm good.
Okay, she wanted to say, anybody else? I just honestly,
I ain't seeing nothing else.
Yeah,
They come up, pop up down the street.
Yeah, I just wanted to take the opportunity to make you aware that there's changes taking place in this whole marketplace and it's impacting this, and that we're going back to drawing board to try to get the best position for the city that we possibly can. Because as we've said to them, for us, it's trying to increase tax base and increase suitable, desirable housing and
they just went to Washington DC to talk about, what is this, Harbor Towers,
Mhm.
to try to get some money, to procure some money to fix that building. It seems like that the government that we got now will be the right timing to try to get some building done. That's what NSP 2-1, NSP 2-1, NSP 2 project that went on, I think that was under the Obama administration. They started building houses in areas, and then people started jackknifing us along the time when they were doing the lead abatements too. I think it'd behoove us to try to find out some way to start building, because we have whole areas with no housing.
Yes.
And when you don't have any housing, you don't have any voters, you don't have any taxpayers, and you don't have any residents. So I think that needs to be on our, as Commissioner Griffin just said, that low-income people deserve a decent place to stay.
Sure.
And if we can provide that, because the part that's part that I'm afraid of, which I've seen lately, is that they got Jimmy Carter houses in Bridgman. I know Bridgman ain't low income.
As a matter of fact, what you're alluding to is happening within our whole region. And it is that what would have been low-income housing in the surrounding communities, because they ran out of the higher affordable housing, people with higher incomes have purchased that housing, and it makes it no longer available to low-income people. And we are, as a matter of fact, we were across the street night before last, reviewing our master plan work, and housing was part of the discussion, where we talked about exactly what you're referring to. So we're working toward trying to address all of these issues. But as I said, the landscape is changing not only in the private financing market, but also even at federal, considering that the House now is no longer democratically controlled. So some things are shifting already in that. But we're going to try to find the best we can and work our way through it to get the best we can for the city and its citizens.
Commissioner Adam?
Okay, y'all sure y'all don't hear from me? Now he come anyway. We've had these discussions about the various property. And for some reason, some of us think that, well, politics do start local. But there's some other stuff happening in some other places with people sitting on some seats. And Jeff Knowles was smart enough to go and procure 28 million on that down there that was just built, sitting on economic in state of Michigan. When we don't have representation at the tables, this is the type of stuff that happens. And when we have other ears and people in place with their own agendas, money is being deferred elsewhere. And we will never see anything develop or anything like that fixed, because I'm sure there are some that want it gone. I've been keeping up with too much stuff that people send me, and it's too much money. Too much money for somebody not to be fighting for us, and not just us as elected officials. I want to know, has anybody read or saw anything in the form of the funding that Whittemire, our governor, put forth for community centers? We got any type of update or anything on that? I mean, I thought that this right here was a sure thing, the funding for Harbor Towers. It needs it bad. How many more times are we going to put forth $5,000-$10,000 towards an elevator that doesn't even have, that's outdated with its certification of inspection? mean,
if you will, on Harbor Towers as an example, the housing authority officially controls that. I'll be meeting with the housing authority representatives tomorrow to review the responses to an RFP
Okay.
put out for a consultant.
okay,
The way most of the housing authorities are moving right now to address their housing needs. And it's very important that that happen here because between the Benton Harbor Housing Commission and MHT housing, 75% of the
Mhm.
low-income housing
Mhm.
is owned and controlled by those two. So the way it's happening in most of the others, HUD has a program called RED that they are steering housing commissions toward working with a private developer to come in and rehabilitate all of their properties and so forth. The structure of it requires difference in ownership. Housing Commission maintains the control, but that private developer takes a partial, and then they provide the financing and all of that. So
I-
that's what they're looking at.
okay. I would like to ask Chairman Seats
Yes.
to actually set an appointment with the young lady that's over HUD now. Because there's too much going on and too much funding that they've allocated and promised and pledged for affordable housing. And it's up in the billions.
Yeah.
And we should not be left out. And if we don't start speaking up ourselves, it will get away from us. And I mean, we just need to be loud about it.
Let's be loud.
Yeah. Commissioner Henry say, first lady, there was squeaky wheel. Yeah, get the oil. And I found it to be true. But not only that, when you're just fighting for a people that elected you to get things done, that's how you get things done, being a voice for them. And I think that sometimes we need to be at the table. I should have some more information about some funding before the month is out. I just wish that we would do better at listening to one another and being hands-on with plans that we can actually see a thing coming to fruition. Right before I came down here, everybody already knows that I've been fighting for Manchester Beaver Arts and Training Technology Center, because if we don't get some people trained for a job, who's going to be able to afford a house? They got a charter school that went up down here inside of Connexus. They just got another one just over in South Bend. It was just on the news. Same type of thing. And this thing is just spreading like wildfire. I think it's designed to shut public schools down, but that won't happen and we can't let it. But there's still an age gap of people that need to be trained from 24 to, I'd say 40. Need career training.
Anybody else on that issue? Anybody else? All right. Lead next on the agenda is number 5.
Yes, sir.
Is that where we're at?
Yes, sir. If I might.
Yes.
Yes. The propose a resolution here that I'm going to ask the Planning and Economic Development Committee to support. Essentially approving the concept and authorizing the manager and I to work out the details of an agreement with Cornerstone to ensure that all of the commission's concerns and the city's interests are protected and taken care in this. What I did was attach some other materials on this because I wanted to point out that these retail recreational alleys and streets and whatnot are happening all over the United States. And they're being pushed here in Michigan. Last month, we received a notice from Lansing, governor's announcement about making money available for communities all over the state to apply and get money to try and do this very thing. As a matter of fact, I put some pictures in here of a project that I believe Bridgman is doing, and one of theirs to open up a street for this kind of activity. In addition, I put another one in there that shows one of these recreational ventures in, I think this one was in somewhere in New York. I saw the identical kind of thing when I was over near Detroit last summer. These help attract people to downtown and holds people in downtown. When something like this that gives people something to do, and it's associated with, like, we've got our arts district over there, we've got the city center park going on right there. This all helps to generate revenue and income in our downtown. Once we even get a parking issue addressed, it will help even in those areas in terms of generating revenue for the city. I also included in this, I had mentioned to you before and hadn't seen this. This was a drawing that was done by Michigan State University Extension Service back in 2015, which is where I understand the idea started. And doesn't matter whose idea, it's a good idea. And I think it's a good idea. I think it will benefit the city. But you'll notice in this little layout, that's where they visualize the farmer's market. And if you look on this page here, you'll see that alley, labeled it Alleyscape, right across the street there from the alley that runs through Center City Park. I also, we talked to Cornerstone about trying to address more of the city's concerns, and one of the things I asked them to consider doing was seeing if they could put in a bathroom, maybe women's bathroom in the park there that would service both the park and people using it as well as the outlets.
Mr. Little. Mr. Little.
Yes.
All right. Honestly, I'm just be totally transparent with you. If this meant that much to Cornerstone would be here tonight.
No, I asked him not to.
Well,
Mr. Mitchell and I asked him not to come, that we wanted to talk about
all right,
ourselves.
well,
Why?
we're not on, I don't think that there's even worth us talking about. We've been talking about this for 6 to 8 months, and you don't put us in tiki huts and put a bathroom, somebody use a bathroom out there for females and all that. And you got drug addicts running up and down the streets, and you got a dilapidated hotel right there that nobody can even utilize. They strong on us.
Could I,
Well, I'm gonna give it back to you. They strong on us. The man came right here and told me and his whole body that we're gonna do what we wanna do. We just telling you. And it seems like this is what is happening.
person's no longer working?
And they're not paid employees.
Well, they fired the brother that was telling the truth. And they're doing what they wanna do. And they just are telling us what they wanna do. That's what happened. He sat there and they tried to constrain him, because he was adamant about it, because somebody probably told him that. but it looked like he's telling the truth. And they doing what they wanna do, like they've had strong armed us for a lot of time now. And we're sitting there talking about, well, we can't put housing up for the people, but we're gonna beautify alleys to help the people. We can't give you nowhere to lay your head, but we're gonna give you somewhere to go have a good time. That's a problem for me when we're telling our people who are voting for us and people who are paying tax dollars that you're no better than where you play. You're no better than where you just go, but when you go home, you gotta go back to a situation that is not conducive for the people that's trying to tell you that this is for them. If we quit telling people what we think is better for them and help better them, then we'll be where we need to be. But I'm not with the continuance of strong arming by an entity that refused to even come and address this body because they know for a fact that they're doing what they want to do. And it just takes time. They say time heals everything. Well, the young brother got fired, which I hate he did because he was a very passionate young man, but he was telling the truth. He got fired for telling the truth. Because that is exactly, if I was him, I'd get an attorney if you watch him, because that's exactly what's happening. They're doing what they want to do, and they just telling us what they want to do, and we make it happen. I'm not for it. I'm not with it. I don't want to pass no resolution for it. I don't want to push this forward. We talking about let's do something different. All the time, you talking about securing a whole alley, putting up racks to where a fire truck couldn't get down there. It was trying to put out a fire, and just beautifying one alley in Ben Harbor. Where you got alleys and the residents can't drive down, have no concrete, don't even have dirt. Got trees, mattresses, motorcycles, cars, everything else in the alley, and we talking about beautifying this one alley gonna help Ben Harbor and to make it look better. Come on, that's. I mean, if I was somebody that 15 years old or somebody trying to give somebody go to wherever, I would agree. But this is nothing for me. I mean, the city residents need better schools. You don't see. Hold on a second. No, hold on. You don't see them participate in nothing that has to do with the Ben Harbor area schools. You don't see them participate with nothing that has to do
Housing.
with Ben Harbor housing. But yet they keep pushing an agenda, and they have paid for downtown, and they put people in such, that building down here that we had a loan that we paid back to Hood, they sold it to somebody for under price. And yet we keep fighting the bill for what they do. I'm not with it. Y'all can find some other people to do it. Maybe take it to another committee. But until they come here and literally apologize for their behavior for the years that they literally choked us and handcuffed us. I mean, they handcuffed downtown. The only thing they do is downtown. And we say downtown better is better for Ben Harbor. We got people on the streets here, don't know nothing about it, and they probably call the police on them if they try to come down there and use it. So I'm not, again, I know I'm said this, but I hate that young man got fired for telling the truth. Because he sat there and told the truth that we're gonna do what we want to do with that alley. And the only thing we doing is coming to tell y'all. And if I ain't got no witnesses there, y'all all need to come and ask somebody to help you. But he said it. And that's what's happening right now. Commissioner Griffin, you have the floor.
Okay. First of all, this was supposed to be an alley project. Now it's coming into the city center, and I see Main Street, I see Pipestone, I see 6th Street. So it's more than an alley project. Then I see something about gaming plaza, and I see all this other stuff that's supposed to be coming. All this I know can't fit in the alley. So where is all this going? Is some of this coming to the city center? Because we have I seen something about Folk Pavilion on this, and we already have 2 up at the city center. We got the civic monument coming in. We got the fitness camp. So where's this gaming plaza and all this stuff? I know not in the alley it's supposed to be going, and now it's part of the city center and all this other stuff. So I mean, and then these diagram, whatever they are, it looked like little figures, little dots or something. It's really not giving us complete clear visual of what this is supposed to be. So I'm with Commissioner C. At this point, it's gonna be a no for me. Of course, it's up to you guys to move it forward, and if we go move it to other committee. But I need more clarity. I need more visual. I need more information because all this stuff is definitely, I know it's not gonna fit in one alley. So where are we putting it? Now we're talking about city center and all these other places. Can you tell me where this gaming plaza is supposed to go?
As a matter of fact, if I could, commissioners respectfully, could I finish the presentation I was going to make?
I
Perhaps we'll
really,
address some
I
of it.
really, I think it's just, I mean, we can finish it, but I think it's kind of, if I'm going to buy a car or I'm going to fix my house and I don't show up for the meeting, they stand on the game.
They asked to come and we asked them not to.
That was out of order.
Well, then y'all need to ask somebody if y'all did that. I don't have no respect for it, and I'm not gonna continue to go on with it. I think it's a joke that they fired that young man for that, to tell him the truth. I mean, you can finish the presentation, but I think that, I mean, the young man who was telling the truth got fired. That says a lot about us, our seniors, his seniors, and we're gonna support him getting fired for telling the truth. I mean, that's no different than, I mean, hope he didn't get fired in Black History Month. So, I mean, now, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Little has the floor, and then after that, Dr. Tynes. No, you
I
have the floor.
understand, no, because I was putting, mine was a parliamentary procedure motion that this be tabled until they present. And that's what I was doing. I was asking for a parliamentary motion to table discussion until Cornerstone Lands is able to do a formal presentation.
There's no need to be tabling anything that had to come before the commission.
What I wanted to finish saying, if I could, is first off, I'd like to just remind you all, I work for you, not for Cornerstone. And nobody has had more issues with Cornerstone than I have, because I was around when they were created. I know what they were supposed to do. I saw how it got off track and when it did. And I've had a long line of issues with that. But where I'm trying to go now on your behalf is to try to get that organization back on track. They came in here back in I believe it may have even been 21 or early 22. I put on the back of this RAP sub-grant application.
We got a grant for that?
Yes, and they came here and presented the information on it, and we gave a letter of support on it. But we had a problem then about it because it was nearing the deadline for the stuff to go in. And the only thing that was in it for Benton Harbor was this project and the Wi-Fi project. But it was at a point where it was too late for us to change very much about it. We didn't want to just kill what we had in there and take nothing. So we talked to them about, how this looked, and that in the future, which is coming up again very shortly, because they're getting ready to do another round of these grants. And I told them, Benton Harbor wants to be more prominent in it, because what they put in this was a number of projects that went to Niles, the renovation of those lofts over there, and really, the city wasn't getting much out of it. But do we gain anything, just kill what we do have in it?
I mean, did they use our statistics to get these grants?
I'm sure they use
I mean,
ours
because
as well as Niles.
I think we need to do a cease and desist with them. And let them know that we're not a proponent of using our statistics any longer. Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Little, the problem that I have is that they have played the same game for years,
I've been down there for 23.
saying that they're utilizing this to benefit Benton Harbor, and yet we have not seen anything change for our residents as far as education, economics, medical, nothing. So we said we're gonna put an alley out there so they can let us go out there with some little tents up and sell cookies and pies and all this kind of stuff, and that better the community.
Isn't that a fire ant?
That's not, when they got buildings that they can open up like a business incubator, if they really want to help a business.
There you go.
They trading buildings around town, just like Monopoly. You had that Lakeland project that went from one Whirlpool building to another Whirlpool building to another building. The VA, they got them out of there and put them in a brand new building out in the township. The Mercy, whatever that Mercy Center thing was, they put them out there on M139, the Martin Luther King. They moved them out of Benton Harbor in order for them to secure the property. And it sounds to me that the same thing that we've been doing. You know, I might be late, but I hope I got it straight. This is the same thing they've been doing. And I'm not, again, with anybody procuring grant. They got that bill down there, they talk about that was supposed to be a job corps. And I ain't seen 10 people walk out that building. And now they gonna sell it for something else. You got all these other buildings around. So I'm not with that, and I'm not going to. I don't think it behooves us to continue.
So what I was gonna say, I agree with Director Little. I think when you try to move a city forward, it looks a lot of different ways. I agree, Cornerstone has not been the best partner in this community. There are things that they have done that have not helped residents in the city. But I also think that when there's an opportunity to improve the quality of life, regardless of how small it is, I think we have an opportunity to do that, even because people in our community spend a lot of time in City Center Park doing activities, doing things, and to actually help improve that corridor of it, I think is beneficial. But I would also say this, and I've spoken to Director Little about this, there's other corridors in the city. And so with this next project, the round of monies, they need to help improve that corridor where Empire is. And so in this round of funding, it's an opportunity for that to occur. I don't think we just kill something because we don't like them as a partner. We fix how they partner with us. And I still think we don't just kill it based on that. I don't think that's wisdom. And I don't think that's something that we should do because we don't like them as an organization. Because they do have business. There are businesses in our community that are connected with them, small Black businesses that they have helped. So they're improving their relationship. They have not been a good partner. And this is still an opportunity for residents in our community. And I disagree with not moving it forward. You're one commissioner, I'm one, and I think you should move it forward to give us an opportunity to decide. And I also think,
Do me a favor.
hold on for a second, Commissioner.
Hold
Hold on for a
Because
second.
you just called me.
I didn't call you out, stop
You
that.
said I'm only one commissioner.
No, I'm saying you're one
But
commissioner, I'm one commissioner, and
This-
move
this
it
is
forward
point-
and give us
But
an
just a
opportunity.
point of clarity, that when I don't come to nobody else's committee and force somebody to move something forward, that ain't the way that roll. And automatically, if nobody comes here and does a presentation,
There you go.
because we don't know what they're gonna do. This says Brisbane, this says New York, This says all these other kind of places. Once you give somebody liberty to do something without a plan, you don't know what they're gonna do.
He said let them negotiate on out there. He said give them an opportunity to straighten
I'm
out
saying to this
what's
body
going to happen.
that I don't have a problem with them negotiating, but we don't have to pass a resolution for them to negotiate. They have free will to negotiate
That's fair.
and bring us a plan.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I wanna know exactly because what's gonna happen is the same thing that happened in the city center, where you got one big building down there. There were supposed to be two big buildings down there. Now you got one that's skinny and you got one that's big. And people have done what they wanted to do. They have done what they wanted to do. So until we get it in black and white, it just behooves us as a body. I don't have a problem with giving them permission to negotiate, but I do have a problem giving them a resolution to say move forward.
So can we say what those specifics are, Commissioner Seats?
I mean,
Because I know you
to
said
nego-
specific,
to
no.
nego- to negotiate
What
the-
specifically?
the project that they're asking to bring. This here happened in Bridgman. The other one happened in New York. What is it? Because when they presented with the young brother who just got fired, it had a whole bunch of black folks with tents out there in the alleyway selling goods, like a carnival. That was a presentation. You didn't see that one face of no other kind of color, nothing else, but black folks out there selling trinkets and all kind of stuff with a tent. So what I'm saying is, let's have them bring what they want instead of us saying this is what they're gonna do, because it never turns out the way people say it's gonna happen when you get them free liberties. So if they got the grant money and they put it down there, Mr. Little said that they're putting some of the grant money in a loft down there somewhere. Did you say they put it in the loft?
That was done already, the one on the corner.
The loft? Then they putting the money somewhere else, you said Bridgman?
Niles. had
Niles.
several projects.
They putting some money in Niles, and then we get in the alley.
We just met with them day before yesterday, and talked to them about the upcoming round that we felt like we didn't get what we should have gotten in this one. So we talked to them about putting in this upcoming round, the funding for the splash pad, the roller rink. We talked to them about, I think what the other items were, about doing extending that boardwalk and boat slips down the rest of Riverview Drive. There's some stuff that's meaningful that can help to benefit this community. As I told them, when we first started on that project, we had a study from DNR that showed the amount of money that was expended in communities where boaters had their slips based on the length of their boats, how much money they spent on groceries, on hotel rooms, restaurants, employing people to do things and all of that. So we're basically saying that the next one that goes in, we don't want to see 2 million going somewhere else and a couple $100,000 to Ben Harbor.
So basically what you're saying is that they utilized 1,800,000 somewhere else and gave us 200,000.
That's basically what it amounted to. And we told them that let's say it differently, because they would look at the 80 West Main, 850,000, and 92 West Main, 950,000 as being Benton Harbor. But like you said, those, they can benefit the city.
Was that the 2 point
But I don't
something that
think that's
somebody was
exactly
bragging
what we would
about?
have asked for.
2 point something million that somebody was bragging about?
Yes,
that
it
we got?
is.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what it is.
And you know, with 200,000,
2.7.
something wrong with that picture.
I understand. I'm married that, probably want to add, I'm married than,
Well, I don't think that the 2.7 million was was designated
No.
nor allocated exclusively
That's right.
for the city of Benton.
No, and it shouldn't have been stated that way either. Like a big chunk of it was, I'm just saying.
Please.
Everybody heard the advertisement of it.
Please, Mayor.
Yeah, I can't speak for whomever was saying that the 2.7 million was exclusively for Benton Harbor. I don't know who said that.
And that wasn't what was said.
Right, so that's what, but I'm just, if I can just make my point. What I was clear on was that a portion of it would go toward economic development in the city of Benton Harbor. I do know that they have brought this plan before us. They've gone out into the community. They have promoted it as such. You know, my question would be, what is the financial impact on the city? And is it against, our aims and goals as it relates to our downtown area to beautify and repurpose that alley? I don't see a problem with the picture that was painted if they were all black downtown
Or what?
or all white
Oh, we gonna mix it up.
or a mixture of people selling goods in the downtown area. I don't see any problem with that. I think that we have to create new creative spaces and places where entrepreneurs can make money. But I'm not here to advocate one way or the other for this particular project. I would not want to see the status quo. Is there an alternative? I do agree with the pro tem. That's not the only alley that needs to be developed. We need some where the brush just need to be knocked down. However, is there an economic development tool connected to that? Because this money is supposed to be used to drive economic development. So to say, well, we need to clear out the back of Colfax and Empire, we need to clear that alley out with this money can't be used for that. This money is earmarked for economic development. So if we don't want that, you mentioned the boat slips, that's fine, but what's the biggest bang and how can we include and gain and bring residents involved and this money go to use for the community? I think that's where we need to really, and engage Cornerstone. They're not here today. I don't know why. Maybe it was the timing.
We asked them not to.
We asked them not to. So we need to engage them, as the pro tem said. What are you trying to do? What is the benefit? And we go from there. Because, like they say, get off the pot. Either we're going to use the money to move something forward in this community, or they could take the money and use it somewhere else. It don't have to be here. It's designated from here. But if there's, an issue where we can't agree or we can't work with them on it, then we lose it.
We were all right footing with them.
I mean, I'm just putting it out
I
there.
know, but what happened?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. That's an excellent point, and that's duly noted. I would suggest that we do, as a body, bring the residents in, and I don't have a problem with us selling trinkets and goods, but then we have to also know that we have to get a license to do that. People have to pay to go out there and sell. All these other kind of things. And they do get money to promote small business. And I don't see too many black businesses downtown.
Okay, ain't been able to get it done.
That, and I got a list of black business that have been turned down by this same entity for startup capital, which now the startup capital goes to what's that place used to be right here. What they used to sell clothes right on the corner that we annexed the road. What's the name of it? Right here.
Mosaic.
Mosaic are doing something where they're helping people with money and resources for small business that's coming from Whirlpool to help them. So I would suggest, as you said, Honorable Mayor, to bring them to the table. And when you really are trying to affect change in a community, let's bring resident-owned businesses, Ron Carter would say, back to the table. Because we don't know how many businesses that we have in the community that can play a part. But I mean, if the truth is that you have a houndstooth right there, they want to do outdoor dining right there and shut down that alley, just like 221 doing downtown St. Joe, which I had no problem with them doing that either, as long as they're paying taxes. But when you're saying it's going to affect change in the urban community, and I don't see none of us working there, then we have to do something that's feasible. But I do concur with our Honorable Mayor. Let's bring them back to the table. Let's have a reasonable conversation. But I don't think that the day and time where you tell us what you're going to do without getting approval of us, we're not living in that day and time. And the young man who they had to restrain, I guess he's fired now, which I hate that ever happened. But he told us we're going to do what we want to do anyway, and we're just telling you. And he's no longer with the company, but that's what's happening. And I wish I could reach out to him. And I appreciate his passion. Hopefully he can find himself on solid footing somewhere. Because I remember being that same young man that spoke with passion, spoke truth to power. That's all he did. And no longer with the company, which I can't tell him who to hire or who to fire. So I would ask that we bring them to the table, even if we have to have a special meeting, to see what can we do to make this work for both the residents, the city, and Cornerstone. But I don't think the waving of the carrot for the next time, that shouldn't even be an issue in utilizing our stats, our statistics.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
And, so, I think that we definitely need to look at what is the proper use of the funds? What are the stipulations of the grant? And because the state awarded them, the money didn't come from the city of Ben Harbor. Didn't come from our general fund. The money came from the state of Michigan, where they awarded Cornerstone Alliance a certain allotment of money for a particular allocated, specified purpose. So that's, I think we need to zero in and stay right there. This pot of money is not for Black-owned small businesses. We have ARPA dollars, but we can't for small businesses. If we wanted to help small businesses, but we can't say this is only for Black-owned businesses and use federal dollars. Small businesses, yes. If they're Black-owned, that's great. but there's an opportunity there if that's what we wanted to zero in on. But I think that we should stick to the essence of what the grant is for and how we can work with Cornerstone Alliance to make this a win-win-win for the city. Because otherwise, you know, we lose out. And if we can get in front of it, get behind it, we can shape it, we can influence it, and do agree, get the people involved. But they have been doing a lot of work on the ground in the community. They had a survey online, which people have been filling out. So I think that we just have to engage them. But I would hate to see the money just be not used in Ben Harbor.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I was down there at, what's this, Teacup? What's this restaurant down there? Mason Jar. They got a flyer that if you scan it with your phone, it says, help us to get this alley ready for Benton Harbor. I think I sent that to most of y'all in the email. It's down there, it says, scan it, help us. This will help Benton Harbor with all kinds of different issues that Benton Harbor has. I think I did send that to quite a few of y'all. If it's the feeling of the body, this alley's gonna change Benton Harbor, then I have no problem with that. And I don't, I mean, poor people are poor people, whether they're in Benton Harbor or they're black, white, Mexican, Hispanic, or whatever they are. Poor people are just poor people. Whoever can get a business going, can get a business going. But what I'm saying is with that, I still think we need to engage the body of the people of Benton Harbor. There's a lot of stuff that we've said that help them. They have not even tasted of the pie. So, Mr. Little, I would ask, as Honorable Mayor so stated, that we do find out what the grant was for. Were we named in the grant? What did they name us in the grant for? And then we can shoot at that portion or whatever can make the grant them compliant with the grant resources for the city of Benton Harbor. And I don't have, I mean, my statement is with this alley, it's done in Kalamazoo, it's a whole lot of places that have the same concept. But the reality is, when you have failing schools and everything else, that people can't read or write, so much you're gonna put them somewhere and not let them do what they wanna do. I don't want to put my money where my mouth is, but I guarantee that if we did an autopsy on how much money has been gotten for resident-owned business, for economic problem in Benton Harbor, we'll find that a lot of money has been gathered and given and done. So I asked Director Little, if possible, that we can have either a special meeting or a meeting of next month to bring whoever y'all designate to the table, including myself or whatever. I remain silent if I have to make sure that this is what is pictured and what's wanted by the city of Benton Harbor. And then I think that I have no problem with anybody who's trying to help.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
But Dr. Tynes has the floor. He hasn't spoken yet.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just looking over historical evidence, from the start of the program, there was a procedural violation in terms of the commission not being notified that a presentation was altered so that that body could not be here to be questioned by this actual committee and the members of this committee. it was stated earlier that the historical evidence say that the relationship has not been a mutually respected relationship between Benton Harbor officials and the said company. And that the question on the floor is, one, what has changed to make them respect this body or commission? What leverage that was not there for the last, I can attest to the last from 2022 to now, what has changed where they now see the city as bargainers and not as beggars? The other evidence is that was stated was that there has not been any data to present it where there was a economic impact, whether you like it or not, on the African American community of Benton Harbor. You do have some now small Spanish population here, but that said population, where is their data to show that they made an impact, that they influenced the African American and minority businesses in this area? The Cornerstone Alliance, the perspective that I would understand, and the mayor knows from the Coleman Young perspective, is that the people come to negotiate with the city, not the city settling for the people who do not want to negotiate. What was stated by the Honorable Chair was that do as I say presentation, and that was presented here. So what I'm asking is that to move forward now as a body who has received these different funds, who are not in a begging position, who are highly educated individuals, that the position of respect has to be given to the commissioners, the position of respect has to be given to the committees and to the chairs, and that if there's going to be any activities that are going to involve the city, that has to be presented by protocol to the governing body elected by the citizens, and that all presentations have to be presented to those elected officials and a decision made. And there's the disrespect that I can document from 2022. No, excuse me, I came back here in 2000. So in 2002, not 2022, I'm speaking on a timetable reference from 2002 to 2023. This is my reference point, that there has always been a pattern of last minute presenting to the body, to the commission, that they have to sign off, which is totally disrespectful. So I'm asking for 2023 that Cornerstone Alliance, any business working in the city of Benton Harbor, has to give formal notification months in advance, and it has to be written in stone, not a theory, not a concept, and that the city is in a bargaining position, not a begging position, that the Cornerstone Alliances or businesses have to negotiate to use their city's numbers for any given project, and not the other way around where we're begging to be included. So those are the points. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Dr. I would hate for this to go to the full body and it get voted down. I would rather, for procedure, have us do it that way, or to come back with a 5-4 or a 4-5, and it looks like we're not unified. But it is, that's my only suggestion, because the way it's looking, you don't want dissension. I would rather have something like this. Is there a timetable on this?
Only the season coming up. This is fine. This is fine.
Honorable Mayor?
Yeah, Honorable Chair, it is good to see you back in action. And, thank you.
Happy to be alive.
And God, I know he's a won't-he do it God.
Happy to be alive.
You know, I think that, you know, number one is 2023. So the relationship that has been referenced, that's goodbye yesterday. That don't exist today. But it is a point of reference. And I thank Dr. Kynes for bringing the history up. You know, I can envision a health fair as Mama Betha used to have,
Amen.
right down at City Center Park, in that alley, fresh fruits and produce from Fresh Start Garden, healthy foods being served, people receiving health care, not in an alley or not connected to the city center that's not redeveloped. But I think that that's something that we could do, we could own. And that's just one event. There's so many events, youth summit that we can do right downtown, using that alley, using the city center park. But we have to own it. It's not them, it's us. It's ours. Benton Harbor is ours. And if they can help us with resources to beautify the area that's been just nothing for years, I don't see what the problem is or why. And the other thing is, it's unfair. Cornerstone Alliance is not a Black Chamber of Commerce. They're not that.
Amen.
And to look at them like that, view them like that, hold them accountable like that, that's unfair. If we want a Black Chamber of Commerce, let's create one. It's enough Black businesses to get chartered. Then the Black businesses, now the Chamber of Commerce can apply for grants and money and funding and do what Cornerstone has, as some said, have failed to do. But to hold them to that kind of standard where their goal and focus is to grow Black businesses, they're not set up for that. And I don't expect that from them at all. And I'm just passionately speaking because we're in a season and in a time where we have to step up, step out, and own the direction, the development, and the future of this community. Nobody is going to control Benton Harbor as they used to. That day is over. Why? Because we all in the room. We here. Am I saying something wrong?
No, sir.
If we work together, if we in unity, nothing can supersede our unity. And
Thank you, Honorable
thank you
Mayor.
for your leadership, Mayor Pro Tem.
I definitely appreciate that, Honorable Mayor. I totally concur and agree with what the mayor said. Commissioner Henderson?
I was just gonna say, in terms of our statistics, I don't think we can stop any organization from using, if they write a grant, any organization in this community can use Benton Harbor statistics to write a grant and get money for whatever they're looking to get money for. We're not gonna stop that with any organization. But I agree 100% with what you're saying, Mayor, but I think we're missing the whole point. Somebody else paying for something to get done that we ain't even gotta pay for to get done. And on that end, they're doing that end, the other end. But on our end, there's no seating, lots of seating down there. When I was down there for, what was it? Oh my gosh, it's escaping me now. But there's no seating. People having to bring chairs, but to create a little lighted area. I don't think anything is wrong with that. It improves our community further, more monies that we don't have to spend. But I just think in this next round of money, as Director Little indicated, being specific about what we want in a grant that they're writing for the city of Benton Harbor, which for me, the indoor corridor right there along Empire has the same possibilities to be done and to be included as well. And I just think we're missing an opportunity, if we, by not doing this. All of that stuff exists, some of the issues or whatever, and as the mayor indicated, they're strictly to drive economic development. What that looks like, and I don't even think they care whether it's black or white, it's about economic development. It's about moving that thing forward. So I think we're missing an opportunity. So,
Thank you for your passion and your support of that. Ms. Kennard had a hand up first.
Oh.
Then
Well,
then Commissioner Adams,
Go ahead.
then Director Little. Thank you.
One of the things, I'd love to see this city prosper, be beautiful and everything. And in our community, it's predominantly Black. And I look at it every day. And I don't want us to focus so much on downtown. And I'm glad that downtown is being beautified. But I'd like to see it spread, as they were speaking about the alley. Our alleys is tore up from the floor up. Our alleys, you can't hardly get down. They tore up. So when they speak of the word alley, and I know what they're talking about for recreation and other things that they're looking for and business opportunities. But our alleys, I think our children will feel much better about where they live. If we were to clean up, fix up what we had, we got $1 million worth of equipment down there. It's time to put it to good use, to make our community be clean, make everyone be accountable for keeping up the properties. The tree lawns should be trimmed and look nice. So when they come and see the downtown Benton Harbor, if they drive through the inner city, it's looking good too. But if I dress up just one part of me and the rest tore up, they're gonna say, what's wrong with her? This is not balancing out. So your inner city is your heart. That's where our heart is, in the body here. The head is up here. So we got to use that same concept for our city. The inner city should look just as prosperous, and there should be growth and beauty there just as well. So is the downtown. So as money comes in and you all negotiate for money and whatever else, make sure the workers, the money and everything is really working so the head can look like they're doing their job by making the inner city look just as prosperous and beautiful as the downtown. Make sure that our schools is getting everything that they need by your influence. They're talking about influence. You have the influence everything that's going on in the city. So I'd like to see that happen for us. But I don't have anything wrong with businesses getting up and going and moving and beautifying our city. That's what I want to do. I'm one that's a grower. And I'd love to see beautiful plants and everything spring up and grow. Healthy vegetables that make our bodies healthy. This is what this world should be about. Thank you.
If I can just jump in, so I agree with you 100%, believe it or not. And when we get monies, say for instance in that particular situation, and it's put to good use, then that opens up a door and a window for more money to flow. There's a grant, Mr. Manager and I went to DC, where Lansing, Michigan got $150,000 exclusively through the U.S. Council of Mayors for urban gardening. And they used it throughout their whole entire city. And we intend to apply for that same grant as it comes around in the cycle for the inner city. But it's going to take monies from outside places that we don't necessarily have in order to make that realization a reality. But when they see monies come in, then that opens us up to get more money from different places and different spaces.
But also, doesn't it, based upon our statistics also, that these dollars come in?
It depends on the type of grant. So the grant that the city of Lansing received, it was based upon the food desert factor, which we don't have any grocery store in the city. So that's one reason why we would be, of course, health statistics and other statistics as well.
Food desert.
Food desert. So Lansing is different, but there's a lot of similarities. So they received the grant. Ben Harbor is a prime.
And also it's a larger city, right? Than
Well,
Harbor.
they're a member city. So
Oh.
the fact that they're a member city to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, they're eligible to apply. So I'm just saying, and to the chairman, you know, we just have to make it, you know, we don't want monies that's supposed to hit Ben Harbor. It's not used because now that's a black guy. And just lastly, I was on a call with Cornerstone Alliance with Secretary Guzman's office out of DC, the Biden administration. And Cornerstone is at the table. And then the small business director is a sister out of Detroit. She was on the phone. And all of these different things that we're bringing up came up. But you know, it's parcel, it's pieces to it. You know, we won't be able to do it all with one grant, with one particular allotment of money. It's an assortment of different grants that we have to apply for. And I beg your pardon.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I will say that, you know, I stand on premise of what we said, that I watched this train move. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, I apologize. You got the floor next.
Oh, me?
This one.
I thought you pointed Ms. Kennard. Thank you. You know, the mayors in some of the larger cities, I watched Lance and Mayor Bernardo, I always mess up his name. Bernardo.
It's Mayor Shower now.
Okay, but it was then.
Bonero was Bonero.
Bonero. That took $100,000 of their budget and put it towards MBK for young men of color. But that was because they had it, their population, their tax base. We need to find out what the economic impact is and that there is one. And we also need to check with the residents that live in the area, that a fire truck may need to make it through that area, like the alley, to put out a fire, God forbid, but for safety precaution reasons, because one of the owners, and nobody has ever mentioned him. Nobody. Anybody talk to him? Because I did. And they wanted to know, well, I haven't heard from anybody. And there's one driveway that drives up into, you know, the residency. And I'm not sure if it goes down that far or what, but I mean, all of those things, they need to be here to answer, not those that we employ to answer and give a presentation of some type of development agreement for them. There's an order of things, and we need to follow that protocol so we can get those answers. I mean, because as far as I was concerned, I thought us and Cornerstone was on good footing. Their name is going to come up from time to time, because if we don't remember the history, we're bound to repeat it.
Amen. Thank you, Honorable Commissioner Adams. Their survival was really based on Ben Harbor. George Floyd, when he had everything that happened to him, people came out and wanted to give money to different areas. That's where that building, Emma Hall building, is being built, because people said they wanted to do more for the inner cities of Ben Harbor. Me and the mayor, this honorable mayor, as a commissioners, we help negotiate a lot of this thing. But one thing I will say, I'll never forget, Marcus Robinson sat in the mayor's chamber and he said a word to us that I refuse to use in this setting. He said, don't y'all know that golf course belongs to y'all? Y'all own the golf course. we're just leasing it. That was a statement to us. And so the alley will still belong to us. But will we have control over that alley way? And this is just a step. This is just a step in the direction of what's going to happen. But again, I just think that if we can fully vet it, and honestly, I'm almost 50 years old now. I'm happy to be here this week. I ain't got nothing to prove to none of them. But I will say that the city of Benton Harbor needs all they can get. And my overseer Flake would say, he said, get all you can all you get, then sit on the can. So I think that it kind of behooves us to try to ratify or get to some mutual ground, which I seen this coming. And you've done a good job of trying to present it. Excuse me, we're trying to put an epidural in the birth of it. You know, I've watched this, but I will say that hopefully there's something that we can do to make it happen and everybody to be part of it. I think that, again, the Emma Hall building, I don't want to call it flats because flats represent poverty and a lot of other stuff. So hopefully we can take flats off of that. Flats was, that's what they called the flats. When my grandmother and grandfather came to the city and moved to the flats, and flats was considered a impoverished area. So maybe we could call it the establishment of the estates or Kamala Estates or something like that, which I have been in conversation with, because you don't want to put people back in the flats. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say that I'm encouraged by what I've heard. This gives us a means for moving forward, and we'll do as you recommended and suggested here. I wanted to just make a point, and that is, I've been around longer than Cornerstone. Cornerstone got started as a result of a letter that I wrote to Whirlpool that Bud Gray took before the board back in 1985 and 86. My office was right next door to Marie Franz's office, who was a chamber director at the time that the meetings were being held to
Don't tell your age. Don't tell your age.
Cornerstone.
Don't tell you.
I was 42 when I came to this town. So I know the history. And, you know, as they say, if you don't know where you've been, it's hard to know where you're going. I watched what unfolded, the train wreck that happened here. And it wasn't all Cornerstone's fault. This city put a lot of people in places that they shouldn't have been, that were not able to look out for the interests of this community. And that's how a lot of that stuff happened. Just like I know them, they know me, and they know Mr. Mitchell. And they know that we're not going to be any pushovers when it comes to representing you all and the people of this community. That's what's different. And they realize it. And I think they're moving to respond to that already. Because Cornerstone put up $20,000 cash to help us for the match, local match for that Spark grant we got down there. Cornerstone went to bat to help straighten out the issues that were going on with Project T, to get the area agency on aging to step in. They've been doing things, they have been responding as we have started to ask them for things. There've been a lot of years in the past when they didn't get asked for anything, you know, and so we can't blame them for that. And when I looked at what they had here, I was encouraged, because when I look down here and see money for a synthetic ice rink in Niles, we're gonna ask for a splash pad, a skating rink. Other than, it shows it can be done from these. And we talked to them the other day about making sure that we have that in there. We will, I can't emphasize too much. We work for you all. And we're going to do our best to get for you what this community needs and deserves. And as the mayor said, all money that comes up isn't available to do anything. It may be available for limited purposes. That's the nature of grants. They'll give you a grant that you can use to do Pawpaw Avenue. You can't take it and do something else with it. Most federal grants come with a limitation that you can't use federal money to do what are normal city obligations. And that, we know those rules and we work with them and try to make them happen. We will take and go forward, set up, as you said, discussion. I'd even like to recommend that we have some discussions and they're not, aren't necessarily public, because you can get a lot more done when you can talk about things and not worry about how it may be mistaken by somebody. And then put together and come back with something that you'll be happy with. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time and effort on that. Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. Thank everybody for their input tonight. Do appreciate everybody for coming out.
I should add, on the community and economic development update, I just wanted to mention that we have just published and posted on the website and put in the paper, and we'll be putting copies at usual places. The 2023 community annual action plan for community development. There's also an amendment to the 2022 plan, because when I did it not long back, I omitted some of the money we needed for the Summer Youth Employment Program. And just to touch briefly on the Summer Youth Employment Program, the Community Action Agency doesn't have the money that they had last year. That was coronavirus money they gave to us to help put that together. So they won't be able to help with the program this year. We met either yesterday or day before yesterday, run together now with Michigan Works. And there's some slight differences and limitations in what they'll be able to do. But they will be working together with us, and we're gonna try to put together a good summer youth program. The larger amount of money they've got is for out-of-school youth, but we got a lot of people who can benefit from that too. So we're working on that and putting that together. That's kind of now. Also, we've just started the second sidewalk program to try and expand as much of the funding as we can before, the May 2nd date is when HUD does that test to determine if we spent the amount of money that is targeted. And we're not going to make it this year. And they say that may cause us to have to do something of a workout plan. But we're working on still trying to overcome the obstacles we've run into with demolition program and some other things, so that we can be in a position next year to operate a smooth program, meet the requirements and spending and everything else.
Thank you. That being said, I do appreciate everybody for being here tonight. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, bud.